That's a caveat. So, they've recently rewritten active record. You should see the caveat. You should see all the intricacies of that through this talk. I strongly encourage it. And this is the 3.1 stuff. Well, this is the 3.1 stuff, which is identity maps, which is been talked about for a very long period of time in active record, and it is what it's saying is that any time that an object is queried through the database, so say you select star users or whatever, it already knows that if it's returning the row for a particular user or the first one, it'll return the exact same instantiated object. So it sort of keeps in memory like a component of all the objects that it's instantiated. So it is a huge performance increase. It's not enabled by default because they're still working out some bugs and stuff. But if you don't happen to run into any of those, it's a huge performance increase. And this prepared statements is enabled by default. And a prepared statement, so whenever you write like a SQL statement, well, first off, you shouldn't write in the SQL statements, and that's talked about here in the next slide. But Arrow will compile whatever you write down into a SQL statement eventually. And what active record, what active record will do in 3.1 is it will prepare those statements for you, and which means that like every time you execute a statement in general, so like in Rails or Ruby, if you're connecting through like data mapper or whatever, right now it parses that statement, it rewrites that statement. The database connector parses it, it rewrites it, it plans it, and then it executes that. And if you want to do some optimizations or whatever, you'll do this. This is what a prepared statement is essentially, and you'll do that on your database beforehand. But active record now can find those optimizations and do those for you, which simplifies that entire process down to just an execute of a plan. And that is a huge performance gain, as is this identity map thing, as is the active record rewrite, which is another performance gain. So those combined, active record's getting a lot faster. And I say please no more SQL strings, because that helps enable both of these. Well, not necessarily helps enable, but again, just getting higher level to best use these performance improvements, because now active record can write SQL much better than you can. And here's what I'm talking about. I know it's kind of small. When I'm saying like no more SQL strings, I have myself, before I knew how powerful active record was in terms of its joins and things like that, I've done things like user joins, inner join, friends on friend.userid, user's ID, right? So actually I probably wouldn't even get something that complex, because that's like already blowing my mind. But what you can do with active record is all you need to do is just traverse the relations. So right here, this statement compiles down into this statement, and I have seen statements like this, like written in projects, and they work fine, but it's just so much more terse and so much more usable to write it through the hash notation.
How would you do it where you're trying to detect a record that doesn't have a related record? So I do this pattern all the time. I'm like, join this outer join this table where ID is nil in the join table.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
This way?
Yeah, that's definitely possible, because what you can do is so friends profile. So this clause can reference any of these things here, right?
So if you like profile nil or something like that, where like.
Yeah.
Where my friends may have a nil and then no profile or something.
So say you're trying to find someone with. So first off, we're on the user. We start on this user table, and then we join. So a user has many friends potentially, right? And so what that means is there's a friends table over there, and friend has a user ID. So that's gotten us to here. That's gotten us to here. and then friends have profiles, and profiles have addresses. And at any point in this thing, you can reference that in the where clause by you still have to throw in a string here. Like, it would be kind of nice if they override symbol like Mongo has and Datamapper has. But so you still need to construct this string. But you can still say, like where address.state, and if you wanted to do like not nil or if you wanted to do not nil, what you'd have to do is you'd have to put this in a string as opposed to a hash, and it would be like address.state is not nil. And yeah, that would be some SQL there, which is still a bummer. But at least you aren't doing this huge join here, right? So you can get closer, and what you can do is you can give arrays in those where clauses. So you can have one that is a string that's like address.state is not nil, and then comma, and then give another that uses this syntax of that's more agreeable. And here's just another sort of like complex query that you can do that joins two tables. So it joins this table, and it joins profile addresses or whatever, and it accesses it sort of like forks, so it sort of joins in two separate paths, which is cool. That's me destroying all my enemies who live in California. And so those are the main sort of like new things to like go back. Those are like the main newish things that are coming up, and I mean, I guess compared to Rails 3.0, it's probably equally different. I don't know. It's quite significant changes, but just to show like that. So I had not done. But I have my own project that I just I have a few like side projects that I'm working on, and just like an example as to like this thing is new and it still has bugs, and like release candidates are definitely not like releases. So like in my new project, I just like upgraded to 3.1, and like this is just what I found last night in terms of like the differences. It's like I was saying cookies.hasKey a lot, and like that method's been removed. So it's like every single reference to that failed in my project. And also I was like iterating in hash values, and it looks like a hash, sounds like a hash, but it's not hash, and that's no longer there, so all that fails. And the relation, like if you say model.relation.create, that no longer populates the model ID in this relation, which is clearly just a bug that's going to be like ironed out. But yeah, 3.1 has some really cool new stuff, not fully baked. I'd say don't waste your time, just like read up on it and then wait until it's finally released, and then like enjoy it. It'll be cool. And that's all I have.